Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber Matt, and this is ShadowNought. The name comes, of course, from Phrexian Dreadnought, old friend, and Moonshadow, new friend. These cards have some things in common, and some things that are very different. The things that are very different is that Moonshadow is a card on its own, where Phrexian Dreadnought is not. Moonshadow starts small, where Dreadnought starts big, but takes extra help. But one thing they have in common is they're both 1-drops that if you somehow just were to sneak them onto the battlefield somehow without them entering the battlefield, if you don't cast them, if you don't reanimate them, if they simply appear on the battlefield outside of normal means, they're really big. And that's where Likeness Looter and Lazav, the Multifarious, come in. Likeness Looter, blue-black, flying, draw a card, discard a card. This creature becomes a copy of target creature card in your graveyard with mana value X, except it has flying and this ability activate only as a sorcery. Moonshadow has mana value 1. Dreadnought has mana value 1. If something that's already on the battlefield just becomes a copy of it, it does not enter the battlefield because it was already there. That gives us 7/7 Flying Menace or 7/7 Flying Trample when we copy any of these things. Lazav has mostly the same text, except it doesn't have flying, and when it enters, you surveil one instead of having looting attached to it. It's just kind of the 5th Likeness Looter. Abhorrent Oculus, this is another thing where if we were to manifest Dread, and a face-down card happens to be Moonshadow or Phyrexian Dreadnought, and then it happens to get turned face up, it's already there. It didn't enter the battlefield. So its various negative conditions won't trigger. We're also a kind of low-to-the-ground Dimir deck. We've got Stifle that can help the Dreadnought get in, or it could beat up the opponent's mana while we chip-shot them with Moonshadow. Dress Down does work with both of them. Dress Down, well, okay. Dress Down should work with Moonshadow, though it has recently been bugged on Magic Online. I'm remembering this right now as I'm reading the cards to you. Dress Down should make it so Moonshadow enters with 0 -1 counters on it, though I suspect it might not in this league, but it is still a useful card versus Urza Saga strategies, and it does get the Dreadnought into play. I'm still interested in it, even though I suspect it might be bugged. There's 4 copies of Thought Scour in the deck to dump these things into the graveyard, which is where we want them. That also supercharges Abhorrent Oculus and Murktide Regent if we need to cast something the hard way. Moonshadow triggers when Thought Scour mills a permanent. That's a way to get your cantrip to also be a threat. Then, of course, we have Fetchlands and Wastelands to make that happen. Just kind of a low-to-the-ground, aggressive deck with a bunch of cool ways to make creatures bigger than they should be, faster than they should be. Let's do it. This is ShadowNought. I'm on the draw in round 1. If my opponent does anything super aggressive, like sends a quick combo or has a turn 1 Oscillate Pride, this hand might be a bit of a stinker, but I can move some stuff around, double Wasteland to slow the game down, work my way to the Dreadnought. I think it's okay. Also, good news, everybody. I tested in a solo game. I just goldfished the deck until I had Dress Down and Moonshadow together, and it did work. So it seems they may have patched that bug. Oh, good. Arid Mesa. Remember when I said Oscillate Pride might be a problem for this hand? Plateau. What are we doing with that? Yeah, well, there's that boy. Okay. It is my curse to just speak things into existence. Okay, how do I think I can beat Oscillate Pride? If I Wasteland them, I think I'm trying to screw them, and like if they don't have a Johnny or Voice of Victory or some major follow-up here, I could catch up to some 1/1s. Yeah, I'm rolling the dice here that my 12/12 or any of the, Lazav is a 1/3. I have some creatures with stats in my deck if they don't get to fully bust here. Guide of Souls, that counts as fully busting, unfortunately. Forest Pitching Guide. My opponent says hi, YouTube. Everyone say hi to Trinity. They also said, of course I'm playing you when I play, or of course I pair into you when I'm playing this jank. I don't know, turn 1 Oscillate Pride into Guide of Souls is not jank. That's a real Legacy deck these days. Bitter Triumph. Okay. I could Wasteland them and continue to eat poo for a little while and continue down this path. Or I could get Bitter Triumph online next turn and deal with the Pride. I've chosen a path. All right, missed the land drop. Come on, pay me out. Pay me out. They did mulligan to 6. Curses. Lazatep Quarry. Okay, I mean, that's not a great land. Okay, this is a spot where Surveil is the obvious thing to do, but end step Brainstorm could go bigger. Like if I'm trying to high roll Stifle, Brainstorm's better. Okay, this Wasteland strategy deeply, deeply failed. Okay, I am going to Brainstorm here and see if I can find Force for the Sujani. No such luck. No Stifle here either. All right, this game is no longer winnable. To the sideboard we go. Yeah, sometimes you take a bet that one thing is going on, but then the other thing is going on and you just lose. We knew that was a bet on turn 1. I said it out loud, and guess what? It was true. Barrowgoyfs, Engineered Explosives, Hydroblast, Toxic Deluge. I did specifically think about this matchup when I was building my sideboard, as Legacy players must these days, because this deck is real, and it is good, and people are playing it. Yeah, a bunch of this stuff. Dreadnought is actually pretty awkward, because it's just a clunky card. Like, if that was Moonshadow in my hand, and we played that exact same game, at some point, I have a 2-2 in play, and by at some point, I mean on turn 2, I have a 2-2 in play in front of the Oslo Pride instead of a completely blank card in my hand. And you can't afford a lot of blank cardboard in this matchup. Moonshadow is kind of the star of the deck. I don't mind cutting Dreadnought. I don't feel like I'm doing disservice to the deck by cutting one of the namesakes. I got other stuff to do here. Dreadnought's also really awkward if I have to Engineered Explosives for 1 at any point. Okay. Island Ponder Keep. I have enough lands that I'm going to lead on the Underground Sea. If they wasteland me, that's just an extra card in my graveyard for Oculus. And I'm going to hit all my land drops anyway. Under time, opponent kept 7. In Force of Will could bridge the gap. It would cost me, like I could force their turn 1 play, Brainstorm, then Thoughtseize turn 2, and I'm kind of into a Boron Oculus. I'm pretty close to a Boron Oculus at that point. All right. I'll try this. I boarded out 2 forces because I don't love it in the matchup, but if it buys me the space to get Oculus down, I do love Oculus in the matchup. Basic planes, playing around the wastelands, Kangaroo planes, great taste. But I am going to force this thing, and Brainstorm unfortunately has to look at the Stifle that I probably don't want. I'm going to put away Wasteland and Enlightened Looters a ways away, but that lets me do something. So I'm going to have 3, 4, 5 cards in my graveyard. You need 6 to Oculus. I also don't have to shuffle this. I probably want to. Yeah, I'm not going to believe in Stifle here when I could just develop the game. Thoughtseize you. Amptraptor, Swords to Plowshares, Voice of Victory. Amptraptor is the scariest thing. Swords to Plowshares blows out my whole plan. Staff the Storyteller, what is going on over there? All right, I'm going to take the Plow and hope that this big creature is enough. They'll probably read that as Murktide Regent, which for all practical purposes is the same card as a Boron Oculus here, except Murktide Regent I could actually cast. Staff the Storyteller. I actually like this sequencing because that would buy time against something like Murktide Regent, and Apt Raptor, if it flips and hits Swords to Plowshares, would be a brick if they do it now. But it would be the best hit next turn. Top deck the Phrexian land, it's go time. Basic Island. Okay, we're going to get at least one Manifest Red before our opponent can really do anything. Their deck's not going to have Solitude in it. All right, ship me a Moonshadow, a Barrowgoyf. I'll take it. Yeah, that's not a bad one to flip on what might be our one flip we get. Lazatep Quarry, we knew about that one. Here comes, Voice of Victory. All right, taking a turn off, investing a lot in this Amptraptor. Oh, come on, you drew Pyroblast? That sucks. Okay, well, good thing I have Barrowgoyf. That's a card I have some faith in delivering in this matchup. Okay, I'm going to attack with my Manifest token. What's the worst that could happen? Go ahead, block. I actually kind of prefer that they don't block because I want to actually trigger Barrowgoyf. All right, here we go. I would like to mill 3 cards. Murktide Regent returns to my hand. Keep these threats coming. I can't do anything else anymore. I just have to be bigger than my opponent. Amptraptor, please don't hit Swords to Plowshares. Osla Pride. Okay. Not that that card is like good for me, but it's better than some other stuff that could have happened. Unfortunately, they do have a source of creatures. Oh no, the second Pride. We're cooked. We're cooked. Oh, they don't have a source of life gain though. All right. That's fine. The Guide of Souls is the missing piece here to just completely ruin me. I do have the City's Blessing. Okay, I'm gonna Surveil in the end step here. Looking for that Toxic Deluge, that Engineered Explosives. Thoughtseize is certainly not the one. Big money. All right, whammied instead. Okay, this has lifelink. If I just don't attack, like if I attack, they probably chump with Ampteraptor, and then next turn they can get the Ocelot Prides pumping. If I don't attack, I could develop Murktide plus Likeness Looter, and then they actually don't have good attacks. Murktide is in, Likeness Looter. I left the Abhorrent Oculus in my graveyard. I'm taking a development turn here because I am not winning the beatdown race. Double Ocelot Pride plus the City's Blessing is like Splinter Twin, basically, or worse. All right, all in. Let's go. We got to fade 2 draws here. The draw step plus Staff of the Storyteller can activate once. Had to activate the staff. That's a good sign. A Guide of Souls could get them a lifelink or a life gain trigger this turn without putting the Ocelot Prides into combat. Caracas. Okay, none of these are legends. Did we fade? Oh yeah, all right. Development turn, fade out. Stifle. That's not very helpful with Voice of Victory around. Okay, I can attack for 10 flying right now and have a Abhorrent Oculus and Barragoyf still back. Yeah, I think putting them on a 2-turn clock in the sky while having my best blocker still back is the way to manage this race. This Barragoyf attacking doesn't change the clock. Yeah, okay. Or they have a Spirit. It's still a 2-turn clock, though. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 minus 5 is still 15. I will play my land because turning Manifest face up is something I can do with mana. Disappointing. All right, just a 2-2. That's Reanimate under there. All right, drawing a card. Voice of Victory dominating this game right now. Most of their good draws, like a Johnny and stuff, would be stifleable. At least they're important things. Like, I could let them play a Johnny. Uh-oh, this is going to be a lot of life gain. They have to sacrifice Voice of Victory in combat, but they can attack with Voice. If their last card in hand's a creature. Oh, plowing your own Raptor. Okay. That's a way to do it. So they could have here attacked with Voice of Victory and plowed one of my threats to get it going, but they are valuing the Voice of Victory over dealing with what I'm doing. But yeah, this is about to be trillions of triggers on the stack. Nobody can count this high. It's impossible. I'm out of fetch lands, but I'm out of surveillance, but I'm not out of brainstorm, so I'm not gonna fetch here. Yep, here we go. We're once again, despite having all this power in play, all these cool things going on, still just begging my deck for a sweeper. Bitter Triumph. Okay, that's not a sweeper. It's not bad. I'll attack with my stuff, and I think Guide of Souls is the creature I have to kill here. And I'll pay the additional cost of discarding a card, because I really don't want to be in a life point race against this opponent right now. And Stifle's not on. Okay. Yeah, kill Guide of Souls. That's the one that's doing the stuff right now. It's the one that's keeping them alive in their end step. Alright, big flips, Abhorrent Oculus. Show me that Moonshadow. Show me that second Barragoyf. Or show me 2 lands. All blockers welcome, though. It's kind of sad to me from a card advantage control player sicko perspective that the Staff of the Storyteller with 6 counters on it is never going to use them all. This game will be over in 1 or 2 turns, no matter what. Oh no, what costs this much mana in their deck? Oh, they're using Quarry to get back Guide of Souls. Yep, that is a trick they have. They'll live another day, but this time they are going to have to delete their Voice of Victory to do it. Oh. Oh, right, because they have all this energy. They can get this thing flying, right? That's just how this card works. Damn it, there's so many things going on. All right, I've lost track. I've lost the entire plot. All right, they get to do it all, and now they have a good flyer. That's cheating. Yeah, it continues to be Wrath or Bust. No, stop drawing good cards. And I can't activate this as an instant to copy something else. And there's also no non-black cards. Son of a biscuit. All right, well, that's bad news. I can still win this game if I draw Toxic Deluge. I think that Engineered Explosives may have missed the boat. Come on, deck. Oh my god, look at all this. Oh, right, because this is a token that the 2 Ocelot Prides are copying as well. Wow. Yeah, that's gross. Good luck figuring that out in paper. Thank goodness for Magic Online. Okay, so they're going to have 80 trillion energy and 80 trillion life. And the Staff of the Storyteller is going to have endless counters on it. Toxic Deluge. Misty Rainforest. All right. What a battle. Opponent came back from that one with some cool plays and some hot rips. GG's, opponent. On to the next round. We kind of did our thing too, though. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in round 2 with a no-lander. I'll mulligan it. Okay, here we go. This one I'm going to keep. And I think I'm going to go basic island, ponder, bottom, force of will. Because I can pitch Likeness Looter to force if I need that. I have 2 paths to Dreadnought. Likeness Looter and Lazav, you could just play Dreadnought and let it die to its own trigger, then copy it from the graveyard. You've got options on this thing. And then I also just have Dress Down. I'm looking for land number 2 here to make this all work. Challenge level impossible. Draw a land. I'll put this away and shuffle it. Thought Scour. A little bit of a tricky spot here, because Thought Scour is really good at enabling my goofball stuff. Another Arid Mesa. Life is pain. However, Thought Scour is not Brainstorm or Ponder. You only get 1 random card. This is not card selection. It's just velocity. I actually don't care about Thoughtseize here. I have 2 enablers for the Dreadnought. One of them works out of the graveyard, so taking Dreadnought doesn't matter. Taking Dress Down might matter a little bit. They might take Force, so I can't stop their next play. They might take Thought Scour to try to make me miss my land drop. I think Force of Will is probably the take from this hand in the dark, assuming that they're an Ocelot Pride strategy. I think Force of Will is actually the one you gotta worry about, that I can't just cover another way here. Okay, Thought Scour. They're trying to screw me. Fair enough. Draw a land, maximum punish. Or draw a black card I can't even cast. Man. There's an appropriate number of lands in this deck, by the way. There are 19, which is plenty for a deck that has Brainstorms, Ponder, less Ponders than normal. But I do see cards just fine. And any land would have worked here. It's not like I got screwed by Wasteland. Chill. All right, well. I'm not spending 2 cards when it's just going to take 1. Force of Will. Okay. Elegant Parlor. This sets up a devastating Ajani for next turn that can enter the battlefield and then immediately flip. Another black card! Is Magic fun? Are we having fun? To be fair, if I had fetched Underground Sea, I could have cast Thoughtseize last turn, and I could have Moonshadow in play this turn. I don't know if that... Obviously, it's better than nothing. I don't know if it collapses what my opponent's up to. Okay. Game's unwinnable now. Yeah, I mean, whatever. You mulligan, you cast Ponder, you shuffle, you take 2 draws, don't see a land. It's unlikely, but this is the game we sign up for. Here's this sideboard plan again. I think I'm going to go a little different this time. I'm going to cut 1 Thoughtseize instead of both Dreadnoughts. They're both draws that are sometimes bad, but sometimes good. And I'll give myself a chance to have access to either of them. I'm on the play. I've got some lands this time. I'll keep a little Moonshadow action going on here. I don't believe I'm interested in fetching basic lands, so I'd like to cast all these spells that I have, and if they wasteland me, it grows Moonshadow. Surprise, my deck has spells in it. I just noticed my opponent's username is Big and Hard. Hell yeah, brother. Silent Clearing. Ooh, this Thoughtseize is gonna hurt. You look at 2 copies of the same card, then I Wasteland you and bash you with Moonshadow. Not bad. Flipping the script here. And I don't think an opponent who had any other black source in their hand would play this land first. They may have a Plateau or a Plains, but there is no way that there's a Swamp in this hand. And taking either of the cards that they take is going to grow Moonshadow, because every card in my hand's a permanent. Another Wasteland. Hell yeah. All right, waste you. Attack for 3. Got a little something going here. Marsh Flats. We're going to see basic Plains for sure. Swords to Plowshares. My beautiful son. Ooh. Is that better than Lazav? It could be a lot of things. All right, I am going to brainstorm here. I have like Thoughtseize. I have other hits. Oh, well, that stinks. These are not the hits. But that's why we cast Brainstorm. I'm going to put 2 lands away. And I am going to invest in my Surveil land this turn. I could have surveilled Phrexian Dreadnought into the graveyard there, put it on top, play the Surveil land from my hand, put it there, but then I'm committed to drawing a land for the next turn when I can just cast Dreadnought and it goes to the graveyard. We don't need to do all that. Lazav does remain legendary. That's part of the text. It becomes a copy of target creature, except it retains its name and is legendary. And they are Karakas strategy. Amtraptor. Cabal Therapy. No. My sweet Lazav. It stinks when they know your hand. That shouldn't be allowed. Maybe they'll name the wrong Lazav. There's like 4 of them. Nope, they found the right one. Antsy Dreadnought in the hand. They could Flashback Therapy and strip it, but my deck has made it clear that Dreadnought in my graveyard is just fine. And Dreadnought in my hand doesn't actually do anything. Moonshadow. All right. I will take that. That lets me have a creature in play and cash out this Wasteland a little bit. Okay. If they run out of lands, can we get that action at least? Guide of Souls. I won't be blocking Amtraptor if it attacks, but they might want it back on defense. Because my creature has Menache. Come on, useful spell. Okay, it's not a useful spell. It is something, though. Do I think I can win a race, is the question. And they're missing land drops. I'm going to push. And I am going to get the extra damage now. I could also just jam this Dreadnought into the garbage if I think that's worth a +1 counter on Moonshadow, but I mostly don't think that's true. I have the Stifles in the deck. I boarded out Dress Down, though. Oh, come on. That's the best card. All right. Now we're on Sweeper or Bust. Being any sort of fair deck, and Dimir Tempo included, even like we're kind of off-brand Dimir Tempo here. Even on-brand Dimir Tempo is pretty soft to this interaction if they don't break it up immediately. Ponder. Oh my god. A useful card. Abhorrent Oculus. Do I want to get into the streets with Abhorrent Oculus? It will mill 2 lands, which means I don't have to draw through these, and that will trigger Moonshadow and I Manifest Dread. Okay. I will try to size up here. Offense or defense? I have a flying blocker. All right, I think I have to be on offense here. They don't have good blocks. I'll just kill some very important creature if they do that. I'd actually kill both very important creatures if they do that. All right, Abhorrent Oculus on the stack. I'm going to have a 5/5, a 2/2, and Moonshadow is going to become 4/4. Dang. We're doing it. We're comboing off. Unfortunately, so is the opponent. If I can avoid a second Pride or a second Guide, those things would be great. Always, always, always. There's still no attacks, but next turn's going to be disgusting. Here we go. And despite doing everything my deck's supposed to do, we're back to Sweeper or Bust. Moonshadow. All right. I'll play that because I am going to Wasteland here. Get my money where I can get it. And I'm going to remember that they could give creatures flying this game. They have a good block on this 5 or this 2/2. They don't have a good block on this 5/5. Yeah, I'll get Moonshadow in the mix here. They have 4 power of First Strike, but luckily I have 5 toughness. And deleting 2 cats, fine, deal. I'm just trying not to get swarmed out here while my engines kick in. Oculus, pay me. Fatal Push. I will make that the creature, so the Moonshadow's trigger when the Delta goes to the graveyard. They've drawn another land. I hate that for me. We're approaching the point of the game where just spamming off this Dreadnought to put 2+1 counters on my board might be worth doing. We're also approaching the point of the game where Dreadnought could eat a number of manifests and a Moonshadow and just be a Dreadnought. This deck can just make the stats to cast Dreadnought as Garfield intended. All right, what horrible unbeatable card is it now? All right, Voice of Victory is not a Johnny. It's not Goblin Bombardment. I'll take that lump. I think they're in the City's Blessing here. I can't count that high, but yep. All right, there it goes. I was waiting for MTG to generate the emblem because it certainly wasn't going to be me. Hydroblast. That's not the worst card I've ever seen. Is it time to play Dreadnought for some stats? I guess so. Cast Phrexian Dreadnought. Do not sacrifice creatures. This attack is fun because they do have 4 points of first strike on the board, but one of them is a red creature, and Hydroblast specifically could get me through this. Okay, they're just choosing to take 4 from the second Moonshadow. Fair enough. Play it safe. I respect it. I don't think Hydroblast should be spent on Amped Raptor when I know their deck has cards like a Johnny in it. And I have to do it on my turn. I don't get to make decisions. Okay, still no creatures. I have a Stifle now, face down, a Thought Scour in the graveyard. If they find a second Guide of Souls, they could start double buffing creatures and push through the Oculus. A removal spell of any kind, removing Oculus, gets it done. All right, we're offering Voice of Victory up on the altar of Ocelot Pride. Probably a pretty good deal because these warrior tokens are going to be doubled in the end step, and you get permanent warrior tokens. Guide of Souls is being used. Oh, right, this has 6 toughness now. Or no, it's still 5. What am I talking about? All right. Block, block, right. I can make these blocks too. That's also legal. I have better blocks. I should block with the manifest that if it dies, Moonshadow gets bigger. If they have Lightning Bolt or something to make this combat favorable for them, I have to accept that. Okay, cool. Now Hydroblast is on too. Yo, all right. Counter target spell if it's red. Opponent tried to surprise me with the finishing damage, but I got to surprise them with my last card in hand. That was actually kind of a sweet play. If they had played Goblin Bombardment pre-combat where it definitely resolves, I can never win. But I think they got trickier than they needed to be. I think I'm still losing this game, but I do think they got trickier than they needed to be there. Force of Will, perfect. We love seeing that card. Okay, I'm just going to attack with the 7/7. The 4/4 they actually can just chew up here, and I don't have anything to make that better for me. All right, come on, Abhorrent Oculus, do something. Do something. Oh no, not that. All right, well, Engineered Explosives to my graveyard. I don't have a way to bounce one of my creatures. Like, I don't have a Kaito that could pick up the Engineered Explosives if a Manifest gets through, so I might as well just buff the Shadows. That's tough. That was one of the 2 cards I'm really looking for. A Johnny. We're so cooked. And there is a Cabal Therapy in the graveyard, so it's just over. Is this literally lethal right now? It's very close. Certainly Abhorrent Oculus is dead. Okay, they're making some cat attacks. Yeah, I'll just block those. I mean, we're not telling any stories here. With the Cabal Therapy in the graveyard, these are just blocks. Yep, Johnny flips. Abhorrent Oculus dies, or I die. Like, that's fair too. Just go upstairs and then finish me off next turn. Okay, went upstairs. Let me keep the Oculus. And now, I guess Toxic Deluge still gets me like a couple more turns to play. All right, Brainstorm. Has to hit land plus Deluge. Fatal Push. That could take away their red card. Is there anything good to reanimate? I could reanimate Phrexian Dreadnought and let it die again. That's fun. Lazav can become Dreadnought next turn, which doesn't matter anymore. Reanimating their Voice of Victory doesn't matter. Okay. So I'm going to put away Force of Will and Reanimate. And then I'm going to Thought Scour myself. Murktide Regent. Okay, I'm going to make attacks that require them to block. I'm going to attack a Johnny with both of these. Because these Moonshadows can only block one cat each, but they can kill 2 cats each in combat. I don't think it matters. I really don't. They could even put 7 cats in front of each of them now and just do that. Okay, a Borinoculus doing a thing here. All right, Baragoyf is a face-down creature. About damn time, now that the game is over. Okay, they're making a cat token. I'll destroy their only red permanent in response. But they still have me beat in combat by a country mile. These are 2/1 cats. These aren't even 1/1 cats over here. This pile of 6 cats. Yeah, I think that push showed up 1 turn too late. Oh, the Goblin Bombardment too, yeah. Get wrecked me. All right, maybe we'll play against a different deck. GG's opponent. Once again, this engine is very difficult once it gets started. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 3 with a hand that looks convincingly like a normal Legacy deck. The Bitter Triumph's a little weird and the Thought Scour's very weird, but the other 5 cards in this hand are just some tier 1 stuff. Opponent mold to 6 with a Polluted Delta and a Swamp. A Dark Ritual. A Dark Ritual and a Dark Confidant. Man, this is hot. This has to be some Moonshadow deck. I'm actually going to force this because I'm not well equipped to deal with it right now. Okay, yeah, the Moonshadow follow-up. So they valued Moonshadow over Dark Confidant in that environment. Oh, well, look at me looking like a whole genius over here with this Fatal Push in my hand right off the tippity top. Probably don't need to push that immediately. Yeah, Thoughtseize was a better play. I just got so excited to see that Fatal Push. Wasteland. I did play around that. That was on purpose. Okay, 2 cards in their hand that were not a 2-drop creature. I think I'd like to Thoughtseize them first, and then I can decide what I want to do with Ponder. Oh, it is a 2-drop creature, but it's that one. Yep, that one's good. All right, do I get anything for my Thoughtseize, or is it land number 3? Fatal Push, okay. I could Ponder here to get Likeness Looter, more likely to do something. Yeah, I think I have high enough impact plays that I'll take the damage from Bowmaster. A Moonshadow. Sick. Okay, I'll put Delta in my hand, Moonshadow on top, because that's the one that I want to draw. Then Moonshadow immediately stabilizes against Bowmaster and eventually stabilizes against Orc Army. And if they do kill it, Likeness Looter will become it next turn. All right, Nethergoyf is larger than what I'm doing, but does have... I do have time to figure it out. I could just play Looter right now. I could also Bitter Triumph right now. I'm going to play Looter right now. Yeah, they can't really Wasteland me, because then Orc Army can't attack. And if Nethergoyf attacks, I could block with Moonshadow and then copy. And then I just have a 7/7 flying. That gets completely cooked if they draw a Fatal Push or Bowmaster to pick off the Looter, though. I think I'm just going to take 5 here. Okay. I accept these beats begrudgingly. I could trade with Orc Army, then put a 7/7 in front of Nethergoyf. I'm already dead to Bowmaster. Should I play around a card I'm already dead to? I don't think so. All right. I'm going to block Orc Army. Yeah, they don't have a Bowmaster. That's good news. Wasteland, sure. I only need 1 mana where I'm going. Likeness Looter is now a 7/7. They're on a 3-turn clock. I'm on a 2. I'm not winning the race. I'll park my bus. Polluted Delta. They did not play a land last turn. They just drew Delta now, or they drew lands the last 2 turns in a row. A Wasteland. Okay, now I actually have a chance at winning this race. I'm going to go for it. Because now I can kill the Nethergoyf, and my 3-turn clock versus their 6-turn clock is not even close. And I actually am going to play out Wasteland, because there's a good chance they play 1 Surveil land in their deck, and that they want to get it right now. I can discard the Brainstorm to Bitter Triumph. I'm not casting it into Bowmaster. Okay, destroy a target creature, or Planeswalker, discarding Brainstorm. Take out the Netherglyph. Hey, here's a fetch. Now it's probably going to be a basic on this turn. Oh, that was a good one. All right, we're back to playing Magic. Okay. Now I need something. Many things are good. How about a Bornoculus? Easy money. All right, not a Bornoculus, not this time. Wasteland into the graveyard. Okay, just a little top deck war where I currently have 4 more draw steps this game. A Bowmaster getting in. I'm at 4. No, don't do stuff. All right, Dark Confidant. Oh, from 11. That's not as exciting as I thought it might be. Bornoculus, let's go. Murktide Regent. All right, well, that one hits. Okay, bang. Now Dark Confidant might actually kill them. Flipped a Netherglyph. How many answers to Murktide do we think they have in the main deck? I hope the answer is 1, and it's here in the graveyard. Already spent. They might be deciding if they just want to attack with Dark Confidant here. Delete it because it's a liability. Yeah, for sure. I'll buy that for $1. It cycled into Netherglyph. Moonshadow. All right, I mean, playing that first would have made it bigger. Something good. Oh, yeah. Now you're in trouble. Doing this pre-combat puts them to 1. That's my boy. Okay, I wish I had 1 more spell, but I don't. And this is 2 blockers by itself. As long as Moonshadow doesn't get to 4/4 on its own, this attack is a good one. I also could have just waited 1 turn and attacked all at once. This turns off fetch lands. All right, Stifle is a creature here. Fetch lands, snuff outs, things like that. I've just played around by putting them to 1. Okay, wow, that was actually a sick battle. It's mashing back and forth 2 mighty Moonshadow decks. Barrowglyph, obviously. Daunting Voidwalker. They were doing a little bit of graveyard stuff, and it's not even really a body. It attacks it, but it doesn't block, so it's half a body. Reanimate's kind of cool. Thoughtseize, mediocre. I actually kind of do like Phrexian Dreadnought in this matchup. It's just so big. And size is a lot of what we're dealing with. Engineer Explosives could catch me up. They're a more aggressive deck than me. They have stuff like Dark Ritual, where I have stuff like a Bornoculus and Murktide. What would I cut for this Explosives? Force of Will can be a liability. It could also be Clutch, because that's a weapon I have that they don't. Yeah, I can go lower on Force. Wait, Toxic Deluge I probably want in as well. Oh, almost missed that one. I could cut another Force, or I could cut something unreliable like Thought Scour. I think I want to cut Thought Scour. Against a Bowmaster deck, that's extra raunchy, because I'm willing to ponder into Bowmaster, even sometimes willing to brainstorm into Bowmaster if I have good enough cards in my deck to look for, but Thought Scour doesn't actually look for cards. Right, I'm going to try this. It has 2 interaction points. Opponent's on 6 cards. Marsh Flats. Netherglyph. Not fighting that thing immediately. Bobble. Bobbling me in my upkeep. That plays around Thoughtseize, but I boarded those out. So I played around them playing around Thoughtseize. Scoreboard. All right, Undercity Sewers. I was going to fetch that anyway. Oh, Barrowglyph. Yep. I like that one. Wasteland. Thoughtseize. Okay, well. Thoughtseize, I'm not going to force. It's probably going to take Bitter Triumph. Though if they take Force or Looter, that means I don't have Force for the next play. And if I can just park it on these fetch lands and build up to the Barrowglyph that I know is on top of my deck, that's a whole game plan by itself. Okay, pass the turn. They've got 3 cards over there. I can play on basics until the turn I play Barrowglyph. Okay, no follow-up. That is probably Bowmaster. It's probably not nothing. Yeah, if they're sandbagging the Bowmaster to try to pick off the Likeness Looter, that's actually pretty tight. But I'm just not going to play into that. Because Looter is also the blue card for Force, which is there to protect Barrowglyph, which, as we've said, is my entire plan. I think I want to crack my fetches now. And the reason for that is Opposition Agent has been seen in these decks, and I'm pretty sure they don't have Dark Ritual, but I don't want to have to force an Opposition Agent if they just go land pass post-combat. There's the land. All right, big old Bruiserglyph. Let's make that handful of Orcish Bowmasters look very bad. And now I have a salty selection of cards to pitch to Force of Will. Almost every card in my hand can pitch to Force, depending on what my opponent shows me and what I think I need to be worried about. Hymn to Torok. Do I want to select what cards are removed from my hand? Nope. All right, it took Force and Likeness Looter, which is probably what I would have used to fight over that anyway. Okay, a Dark Ritual. Fatal Push. Oh, you did fetch this in your upkeep. It's there. And Dark Confidant. Pretty good. All right. That was a pretty sweet volley that I am going to answer with Abhorrent Oculus, which is probably going to be pretty good. At least I hope so. Brainstorm. I should probably rip that off while I know it's going to not kill me. I could even set up a cool creature. Yeah, we got there. Okay. I'm going to put back... Force of Will could be good down the stretch. Dress Down is just Fog versus Nethergoyf. Okay, I'm going to go Force of Will and Barrogoyf into the graveyard. If I had another blue card, I would do this differently, but I don't. I left one spell and Barrogoyf in my graveyard. If I draw one of the copies, copying that Barrogoyf is good. I still have Reanimates in my deck. I get to put a face-down Barrogoyf here and Force of Will into the graveyard. Opponent flipped Mishra's Bauble. That is a free card, but doesn't actually do anything. Baubles in. Bobbling yourself. All right, bobbling yourself to decide if Dark Confidant is worth shoving into play. That's fun. Okay, there's no real attacks here. Unless they're willing to trade Dark Confidant for a face-down Manifest that they know I just set up. That would actually be pretty clever. If Confidant attacks alone, Oculus eats it. If it attacks with Nethergoyf, then I have to block one of them. And I would get to eat the Nethergoyf. And I would take 2 from Dark Confidant here. Barrogoyf's worth way more. Okay, I will play my land. And if I attack with both, Fatal Push isn't on right now. Yeah, I have the blocker generated anyway. All right. Attack with these 2. Nethergoyf blocking. Surprise, it's the best thing it could be. Okay, I'm back to 10. I think I actually do want to push a Confidant. That seems like how they're going to win this game, is just catch up to my cards, but Abhorrent Oculus is drawing an extra card a turn. Oh yeah, Moonshadow, face down, just where we want it. Bowmaster flipped to Dark Confidant. It's cool that we've played 3 matches of Legacy so far, and all of them have been completely about combat and basic combat skills and flying and lifelink and going wide versus going tall, evasion. Pretty sweet. Not all matches of Legacy are like that. Children's Edict. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature of their choice. Sorry, Moonshadow. You are the worst one here. By a lot. Dark Ritual gets to cast the Bowmaster in their hand. Might as well get it in, I guess. Or you could play Nethergoyf from the graveyard with that 3 mana as well. Yeah, that's probably better than Bowmaster here. Cool. A 4/5. Pretty big. Not big enough. Nothing's big enough to beat Barrogoyf. Nethergoyf just can't beat Barrogoyf in combat without help from something else. Barrogoyf will always be at least the same size and likely bigger. And it has Death Touch. Moonshadow. Hello. Unfortunately, I can't do the dress down trick with Moonshadow because that'll kill my Barrogoyf. Because they have to block here or they're dead. And my Barrogoyf's going to have 4 damage on it, and I can't make it a 0/1. Okay. Now is actually an interesting spot. Because if I play out Moonshadow, oh, Wasteland can target itself. Yeah, this is fine. I was going to say, I know they have Bowmaster in their hand, and they could respond to the Manifest and deal 1 to Moonshadow, but it's covered. Oh my god. Phrexian Dreadnought face down, and trigger Moonshadow off of Dothy Voidwalker. They've flipped a Wasteland. That's not going to help. We've done every trick the deck's capable of this game. I'm here for it. Sweet. We're on the board. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. the hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Receivables has it at youtube.com/TheReceivables. I'm on the play in round 4 with a hand that's really interesting. I'm actually going to keep this and just play Underground Sea Pass. The Stifle can also protect me from Wasteland, and it protects me from most combos, which is why I would Thoughtseize my opponent. And if they just play some creature, I'll Fatal Push it. Most things are covered here. Tropical Island. Okay. It turns out I will be Fatal Pushing a creature. I didn't get to snipe a fetch land, unfortunately. I'd love to draw a land, especially if it's Wasteland. Hey, we did it. Thoughtseize you. See what's going on over there. What's this Noble Hierarch deck? Tell me more. Are you Infect? That would be sweet. Oh, wow. Okay. Well. Undermount Adventurer into the graveyard. The old Undermount Adventurer Daze strategy. Those two cards frequently seen together. Okay, there's no reason to Stifle this turn. Even if they do fetch, I suspect they'll just play the Hedge Maze and pass. There it is. Kept a card on top. Ooh, okay. Got a Noble Hierarch. Alright, I'm going to fetch my Surveil land here. And I would love to find one of my Reanimates. Haven't actually really looked at that card, even in the league very much. Would be a nice one to find here. Then take the initiative. Likeness Looter. I don't want that in my hand. I already have one, and I'm not really interested in the one I've got. I'm going to try to get something going with Brainstorm. If this misses, my hand becomes really awkward. But if I find the land here, we're in good shape. Well, Tilt. Okay. The classic. All right, I guess I'll put Stifle and Thought Scour on top of the deck with the intent of Thought Scouring myself. And if they want to daze this, I don't even care. Okay, sweet. Found some action. I'm going to waste your Hedge Maze. Hopefully that keeps them off 4 mana for the turn where it matters. Windswept Heath. And they just saw me mill over a Stifle, so now they know that's a card in my deck. And whether or not they crack this Heath is going to be kind of interesting. I didn't crack the Heath. That gives me Fatal Push plus Stifle. But I know they have 2 more lands in hand. Is that even good? Alright, I'm just going to pass, I think. Yeah, knowing that they have the initiative in their deck makes me less interested in stifling one of the 4 lands that I know about. Basic Forest, Fetch. Ooh, Bant. Badgermole Cub stuff going on here. Am I going to get attacked with a Tundra? Usually the only Tundras do attacking me is when I put them in my deck, and my deck's not very good. Force of Will. Right, Brainstorm. Can we find something? A Dreadnought, that's something. Okay, if I put back Pluto Delta and Dreadnought, that lets me play Likeness Looter. I have Force still up, and I can play around Daze. And then next turn I can make a Dreadnought. We're just hardcasting Daze. That taps me out of the Wasteland. Do they have a second Daze? No. Alright. Alright, Daze down is good. Natural Order, okay. I'm gonna force that, pitching Stifle, and hope they didn't have a second Daze all along. Okay, cool. Yeah, using the Daze to tap my Wasteland there. I mean, I guess I could pay for Daze if they didn't do it then. Okay, now I have the option of cast Dreadnought, immediately attack for 12, or loot Dreadnought away, get card advantage, and get to work. Next turn, I think I just want Phrexian Dreadnought attacking. I'll sack Dreadnought to itself because that's funny, even though it's functionally the same as letting it just die. This is the likeness I've chosen to loot. Attack with Dreadnought. They're dead next turn. I'm going to see if they fetch a Surveil land in the end step or a Dryad Arbor before I use this Wasteland. Playing around Dryad Harbors here is actually big. Yeah, there it is. Because that's a creature for Natural Order. And I'd prefer they didn't have one of those. I can't take them off white because the Tundra will come back into play. I could play around them exactly top decking Plow on that turn, but I couldn't play around a Plow that's already in the hand. Because the Tundra comes back tapped. What's going on here? Zenith for 2. Is there a 2-drop that can mess me up? If they have a land in hand, Outland Liberator gets it done here. but it's too slow otherwise. The Masked Vandal, if that's a card that they somehow have in their main deck in Legacy in 2026, I'm in trouble. Okay, yeah. they came to the same conclusion I did, which is there's not something to Zenith for here. Cool. Dreadnought doing it. Thanks for showing up, big guy. Yeah, I like Toxic Deluge. Damping Sphere is interesting. I have to remind myself the exact text of Badgermole Cub to figure out who makes the mana. Whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. So Badgermole Cub is adding the green, which means Earthbent lands, despite tapping for 2, actually tap for 1, but make 2 ultimately. Okay. Damping Sphere doesn't help, is the answer. I think I like Deluge and Engineer Explosives, but I mean, they're kind of they're a tempo deck and a combo deck and an initiative deck. Or there might just be one. Now that I've seen more of their deck, they might just have that one initiative guy in the deck as a Zenith target for when it's appropriate, and I happen to see it. And treating it like it's an initiative deck might be a mistake. That actually feels really likely. Yeah, I do just kind of think Dreadnought is the clunkiest and worst thing in the deck. And I don't think Stifle's particularly effective against this deck, which means that Phrexian, Dreadnought, and Stifle can come out as a package, and then I get access to these good black cards instead. Yeah, that makes sense to me. All right, a super control-y hand in a matchup where I do like the black cards, but I'll run with it. Ooh, they've passed priority with this fetch land. Did they forget I'm a Stifle deck? I'm definitely going for it here. And drawing that Ponder was really big. We got him! That's why you leave one Stifle in your deck, so it's in your opening hand and you can blow up their first land drop. Good chance my opponent's also a Wasteland deck, because that card's just really good with Badgermole Cub. But I don't mind being Wastelanded. My hand's full of action. And now I'm functionally on the play. Oh my god, they kept a one-lander and then ran into Stifle. Life is good. And now it's my job to get to a Boron Oculus. Ooh, okay. Well, I'll take this Thoughtseize and cast it, because that does the job of getting me to a Boron Oculus. I am going to get basic Swamp here, because Carpet of Flowers is a card they could have. Oh wow, look at this. 2 Brainstorms, Keen-Eyed Curator, Plow. Zenith is kind of annoying, because that means their first land is actually 2 lands with Dryad Arbor. But Plow is the one that messes up my Boron Oculus strategy. And I am jamming Oculus next turn. I'll have 6. All right, I'm taking the Plow and just going straight to the Turbo Oculus. And I'd love to draw a blue card to back it up. Oh, they don't even want to see it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, playing around Stifle is kind of on an upswing in Legacy right now. There's a bunch of Felia decks that are on Stifle. I've seen it as a 1 or 2 of in Izzet Delver as well. It's something to be aware of. There's times where you don't have to play around it at all. There's times you have to at least think about it. But this game, I did actually show my opponent a Stifle. I milled it with the Thought Scour. Maybe they didn't notice. But once you see Stifle, especially if you're keeping one-landers, you gotta respect it. On to the next round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I am on the play in the final round. I'm going to keep this. We have Faith and Ponder in this house. And this hand actually looks like a completely different deck. The Bitter Triumph dumping the Oculus, then I get to pick it up with it Reanimate. That's a whole Reanimator strategy going on. A Ponder. I'd love to just see 3 lands off this Ponder. Pretty darn close. Okay, I get to draw Delta next turn, or I get to draw Delta now. And do I want Sewers in my hand or on top of my deck? I think I want Sewers on top of my deck at the end of all this. I hope they're just some dumb creature deck where I can Bitter Triumph their first play and then Reanimate Oculus. Uh-oh. Mox Diamond, not usually in dumb creature decks. We appear to be playing against lands. A Taiga. Grove of the Burn Willow is really interesting. Okay, picking up 2 lands that aren't real important. Okay, now we're in kind of an interesting spot. I think I'd like to Thought Scour myself this turn. Or no, the Looter is now plan A. Okay, never mind. Yeah, Bitter Triumph's probably not going to have targets. And I'm going to try to go Oculus to the moon here. Ignoring basic lands, ignoring everything. Loot away Oculus, reanimate it. Force a will to back me up, and sprint to the end game. Immediately spiking a Mazavith off their first dredge is not what I was hoping for. Vibrance, okay. Well, this is green, or this is red. I am gonna fight this because this is my whole plan. I know their hand is Loam and 2 non-tech lands. It's just lands that tap for mana. Oh, well, that's even better. Moonshadow, and then that'll grow when I loot away the Aborn Oculus. All right, discard Oculus. I don't have room to Thoughtseize my opponent here. That was cool. Please don't rotate for Bajuka Bog. No fun allowed, you dickbag. Whatever. Alright, well, this game just got a whole lot harder. Because there's a Mazavith in the graveyard, they have Loam going, and I'm not clocking them with 7 power plus potentially more every turn. This is something I could have played around by Thoughtseizing them first. I will take ownership of that. I just saw the window and went for it. Malevolent Rumble. Found a 3rd Loam and Expedition map. Chose Mox Diamond. That makes sense when you have this many Loams going. Boseiju, Maze, and Yavimaya picked up there. I think you should have to have 2 Mazaviths to stop a menace creature. That's my freedom of speech meme for the day. Alright, can we hit another monster? No. Thoughtseize has lost its appeal. I don't think pushing 3 damage is worth it on this wasteland. I could reanimate a Vibrance. Is a 4/4 actually good? No. Alright. I'm just going to chill and try to find something that's actually good. Ghost Quarter, Mazavith, Tabernacle. Alright. My window to win this game passed when my opponent had crop rotation, which I could have played around, so that was sloppy by me. We got a little graveyard hate, we got a little sweepers. Consign to Memory is better against lands than Stifle is, because it does a lot of the same things, but then Consign can also counter things like Mox Diamond, or if they're on like Sphere of Resistance or something. Do I want Barrow Boys? I do like turning Force of Wills into Force of Negations, because Loam is the thing I'm trying to handle. That's done. Fatal Push, I think I want all of those out. Sometimes it's useful versus a Urza Saga plan, but I'm trying to deal with that with Engineered Explosives and Consign to Memory. Macabre Barrowgoyf, I've created 1 open slot here. Dreadnought versus a Boseiju deck feels like a disaster. Yeah, I'm going to switch the Dreadnoughts to Barrowgoyfs and do it like this. Or Bitter Triumph, actually, doesn't do anything. I could get a Stifle back in. I could get a Dreadnought back in. Yeah, I think I want a Dreadnought back in. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I think last game, opponent had 1 unknown card in hand, but I should have respected the possibility that it's that card. I mean, this is some stuff. I will keep. I am not intending to crack this fetch land. I would like it to mix things up with Brainstorm next turn. Expedition map. Likeness Looter. Okay. Knowing their deck has Vibrance stinks a little bit, but gotta run these out. Make you have it. If you Vibrance this next turn, then you're not cracking the map. I can at least put you off the tempo you want to be on. I don't really care about Wasteland here. Pyroblast coming in. That does make Wasteland a bit better. Moonshadow. Cool. All right, I'm going to play Moonshadow, and I think I'm just going to pass. I mean, casting the Dreadnought is really tempting here, but with Brainstorm in my hand, I actually would like any rectangle that I can turn into a different rectangle is fine here. That's better than 1 damage on a board versus a Mazavith deck. The second Wasteland's a little tough. They didn't rip it off, though. All right, waited till my upkeep, which is now I can cast Brainstorm. Which, of course, is going to completely miss, and now I'm Brainstorm locked. I hate my life. I'm quitting Magic. This sucks. Okay, well, we've probably lost. But we'll see if they can convert. They do need to get an engine online. They're currently just going 1-for-1 with me, which is not how their deck works. And Wasteland can get ahead of something if they try to Urza Saga or whatever. This is the other Likeness Looter, the 3rd one. If they come up with a Loam, I'm probably just cooked. All right, what are we working for? Here's a Tutor. Tabernacle. Yeah, I mean, that one stinks. But only if they have Loam. Thespian Stage. All right, deck. Drawing wild. And it's not anything that's going to help me. Attack with Shadow. And they still don't have an engine going. They just have some stuff. All right, yep. Wasteland copying. My Wasteland can set up a Tabernacle situation where that kills my Moonshadow and there's nothing I can do about it. But, okay. Nothing I can do about it by missing a land drop either. All right, you waste me. I waste you. Moonshadow grows, but it doesn't matter because it's about to die. But I can at least take 2 lands down with me here. Exploration. The turn 6 exploration. All right, deck, how about a swamp? I'm still playing this game if I draw a swamp. Life is shit. Life is pain. All right, they still have to do something, though. They're still not actually doing anything. Dump to Grove of the Burn Willow. Continue to not do anything. I'm going to discard Dreadnought. That's just the worst card in my hand for sure. Okay, they drew a card, didn't play a land or a spell. And my deck continues to kick me in the asshole. I'll discard a Thought Scour. Mox Diamond. Discarding Maze of Ith. Okay, so cards like Endurance are alive now. Oh my god. Alright, well, now at least I have Life from the Loam covered, if they draw that one. I think I've given up on Barrogoyf here. Oh, End Step Endurance, just to do literally anything. That makes sense. Okay, my graveyard is tucked. I'll discard Barrogoyf. And I've got 7 turns here to answer a 3/4 creature. Something that my deck can definitely do. Oh my god. I guess one of these looters goes next. I just can't rely on a 2-drop here. Malevolent Rumble. I'm not going to interact with that. My Force of Negation is so precious, and I lose instantly if they cast Life from the Loam. And finding Urza Saga here is devastating in its own way, but countering the Rumble would have been a temporary solution. Oh, they went with Wasteland instead. Okay. Well, basic lands are good for me. Holy moly. I get to cast Thought Scour. I probably should have waited. Okay. All right. Never mind. I just jammed that one off a lot harder than I should have. I should have just left the fetch land in play. We have seen Ghost Quarter in their deck. The spawn is so awkward. You want to pay to keep that? No, you do not. All right. Cool. But did I walk into the Ghost Quarter by fetching ahead of time? Dark Depths is here. Not great against that card either. End step, I'm going to Thought Scour myself. My graveyard is still a resource. I milled 2 non-lands, drew a non-land. I drew a land. Kind of. It's not one that I want to put into play against this Wasteland, though. Yeah, I'll Pyroblast this. Okay, that makes sense. I will play the land. It's a land that helps me find Polluted Delta. All right, let the stabilization begin. Please don't draw. Thespian stage ever. There's Wasteland. Life from the Loam. Have it covered. Likeness Looter, I kind of believe in at this point. I think Dress Down is the card that is the worst in my hand. Okay, Loam answered. If I play Looter this turn, I have to pay mana to keep it. Ugh. I hate paying for anything. I'm a cheap ass. Okay. I think I want to play Moonshadow. That could get big enough to tangle with Endurance, and only costing 1 mana matters a little bit. I actually might just chump Endurance this turn and try to get myself to a Boron Oculus. Yeah, I think riding the Oculus train is the way out of here. And that also puts Moonshadow in the graveyard, so Likeness Looter can become just a raw 7/7 at some point. Okay, Shadow, then Thought Scour myself. Shadow might even grow here. Scour. Shadow did grow. No lands milled and no land drawn. They're just not anywhere. Something's happening in the end step. Oh, it looks like they had a crop rotation, then thought back about it. Maybe. They can't make Merit Lage this turn. They can make it next turn. They could just main phase it. Okay, here we go. Tapped and untapped a green source a bunch of times. Did not pay for Endurance. They might just, yeah, they're probably going to rotate main phase, make Merit Lage. Something that my deck actually is not very good at answering. Okay, they passed. That gives me a chance to draw Force of Will. Okay, I will pay for Moonshadow, because I don't know what else is going on. Oh, yeah. Rip the Wasteland. We're suddenly back in this game. Dark Depths is not a problem, and I'm pushing damage, and they didn't pay for their endurance last turn. Whatever plan they were planning on, I hope I just destroyed. Okay. Just have another endurance instead. Yeah, I think that they did have one plan, and then my Wasteland messed it up, and now they had to move to the other plan. They are winning the race, though. And I think I have to end step Brainstorm here, just for the short-term velocity, because this is not a long-term game we're playing. Yeah, Reanimate and Thoughtseize, thanks for showing up, you dicks. Okay, how do I do this? I think the answer is I don't. There is one window here where maybe I could do something. If I put Thoughtseize and Oculus back on top of the deck. Okay, what I'm going to do is use Wasteland to pay for Moonshadow, which if they make Merit Lage in my upkeep, they have a window to do that, but I lose to Endurance if I don't do this. Okay, now I can just play the other Wasteland. All right, we got through that window, and now I have a blocker for Endurance. There's a creature I can afford to reanimate. If Faithless Looter, or Likeness Looter, whoever this is, whatever type of looting you're into, if that chumps, this is 3/3. Waste you. It's 5/5. Reanimate the Looter, chump again. I actually have a path to winning this game. Okay, I have a 3/3. Got a Yavimaya. I will pay to keep with the island. I'm going to Wasteland Dark Depths and see if they make a move in response, which I expect they will. Okay, rotating the depths itself away. Getting Blast Zone. Well, shit. I got no plan for that. All right, well, now I'm cooked. Now I would have to, like, attack. They blast. They don't even have to blast, though. All right, I'll attack with Moonshadow. Yeah, I don't think this game's winnable now. I needed to be way up under where I am. Okay, they're blast zoning. I don't have Stifle. Oh, they charged blast zone. Was that a miss? Oh, I think they misclicked. I'm not too proud. I'll take that. Okay. Yeah, hit you for 4. Reanimate Looter. I got a 1. Oh, wait, I'm dead anyway. Oh, no, I have to waste the blast zone. Shit. I didn't want to do any of this. I just missed a damage with what I had to do. Okay, a second crop rotation. Getting Bajuka Bog. Now we'll win the game. I'm also dead to Vibrance at any point. Okay, yeah. That was tough. Just missing on that Brainstorm, losing 3 turns of the game. And it ended up coming down to 1 turn. I mean, obviously they had some options. They had some stuff going on, but being this far behind on resources and life total when the damage race started, if this damage race starts 2 turns earlier, that's a pretty clean plan. All right. All good. There it is. That was ShadowNought. I actually think the Dreadnoughts are the worst part of the deck and completely unnecessary. And without Dreadnought, you're not that incentivized to play Stifle. And without 6 hits, you're not that incentivized to play 5 payoffs. I think a Dimir Moonshadow deck that just uses Likeness Looter, and then that opens up 2, 5, 6, at least 6 slots in the deck, actually kind of sweet. I liked the Abhorrent Oculus. I liked the Dimir Tempo game plan, of course. Moonshadow was great. Copying Moonshadow was great. Yeah, maybe you could get some Dazes in here. Become a proper tempo deck. I'm trying to avoid Tamiyo because it's specifically not what this deck is trying to do, which is deal 20 damage. Yeah, once you start tooling that around a little bit and you recognize it's kind of a Moonshadow scam deck and not a full Dreadnought scam deck, you just have a ton of slots to play with, then you can start to shore up those other matchups, get all the fatal pushes in the main. We lost to Ocelot Pride twice in a deck that isn't even maxing out the obvious card that you could play to answer it. Hey, you could even just play like Nethergoyf. You could get some Mishra's Baubles in the deck to make Moonshadow better and get through your stuff faster. That also fuels Abhorrent Oculus. Just some ideas, but this was a cool concept, and we did some neat stuff multiple times. Oculus and Looter together with Moonshadow, who's kind of like the Dreadnought that doesn't require a large selection of your deck to set up, but also pays out in a way that is sometimes comparable. This was fun. I enjoyed working on this deck and I enjoyed playing it. Matt, thanks for sharing this. I hope this inspired your brewing moving forward. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon to support the channel. I'll see you next time.